Welcome to another round of stories of how the Bank of Industry is industrializing Nigeria. But the thing is this, industrializing Nigeria, according to the Bank of Industry, is not just about the factories and manufacturing. It also involves services. That's why the first project we're going to bring to you on this episode of BOI Weekly is a company that's involved in photo processing in Kwara State, and they have the full support of the Bank of Industry. First floor of number 240/192 Ibrahim Taiwo Road in Ilorin, Kwara State. The location of Ayola Titilope Olalere and Sons, abbreviated to ATO and Sons. The atmosphere in the office could be mistaken for not so serious, but this is how work is done here.
We print pictures from all sizes, range from small size to the large size. We do photo book like marriage, seminar, naming ceremony, housewarming, etc. We do canvassing frames of all sizes. We turn old picture to the new one. We change background of picture. Assuming that you take a picture here in Nigeria, you can do it that you took it at US.
Another reason they can approach their work this way is because technology has simplified the process of making pictures. Gone are the days of darkroom to develop pictures.
The modern technology now is high definition compared to the analog they used to do. Analog used to wash away after 3-4 years, but with this high definition, 30 years is still intact.
Mostly, ATO and Sons await customers who have already taken pictures in soft copies and help them produce the hard copy. However, for illustration, BOI Weekly crew, BOI staff, and some of their staff become subject for their photography. Captured into a memory card, it's transferred from one system and sent to another. And in a matter of minutes, the pictures are out. Looking like specially treated ones, a feature which their former machine could not add to production. The machine is not limited in producing pictures of various sizes. All that is required is setting it up.
We are doing daily setup of how the production day will look like. And without the setup, all the pictures that we print that day will be blued, black, or red. This setup has its category. This is the first set. This is the second set. This is the third set. This is the fourth set, fifth set, sixth set, seventh set, and this is the last. This color separation will make our printing look beautiful and quality. So after this, we will now proceed to the daily. Okay. We are starting the process of the setup now. And each setup has different sizes. This type of setup will produce to produce this size. So if you want to do bigger size, you have to do setup of bigger size. You can see the difference. So after this, we now start daily production.
Obviously impressed with what he has done with the first part of assistance given to him, with which he has bought the high-definition picture production equipment, a combination of a Bank of Industry staff, Femi Babalola, the Commissioner for Industry, Umar Baiwa Aliyu, the Permanent Secretary, and Senior Special Assistant on SME Development, hand him the check for the balance in the Commissioner's office. In Kwara State, the Bank of Industry is not working alone. It's working in collaboration with the state government. And the relationship is based on an MOU which was signed in 2008 on 500 million naira. Next, we're going to speak to the Senior Special Assistant on SME Development in the state. He tells us the details of this relationship, the benefits and the future of the collaboration between Kwara State government and the Bank of Industry.
Partnership is in two forms. One, the collaborative funding arrangements. That involves Kwara State giving some amount of money to Bank of Industry, and Bank of Industry making it up according to a prior agreement, the ratio agreed between the two of them. Specifically, in 2008, Government of Kwara State gave 250 million to Bank of Industry. Bank of Industry was to add 500 million to make 750 million because the agreement was 1-2, government to Bank of Industry. The purpose of the fund is to help small and medium-scale enterprises. Small enterprises, people doing business from 1 million and above, that's the definition in our agreement, as it were. And the money was meant to finance equipment for people who are into production of goods. Right. So that's the first form of arrangement. The second form of arrangement is purely what I refer to as developmental financing, which is part of the mandate of Bank of Industry. At that level, you can get from 100 million and above from Bank of Industry. And we have quite a number of big industries here, Omega Rocks, Cam Wires, right, big manufacturing outfits in the state who have assessed money in billions of naira. In this area, the government needs not put down any amount, needs not contribute any amount. It's purely Bank of Industry doing their appraisal, getting comfortable with the project, but then it is still financing Kwara State.
All right. We know that Kwara State has a lot of potential and endowment when it comes to agriculture. Now, these two schemes that you have mentioned doesn't seem to incorporate agriculture into it. So what is the arrangement for those involved in agriculture?
Yes, we have commercial agri credit scheme of the Central Bank of Nigeria for agriculture. So Kwara State government assesses this fund. In fact, Kwara State has assessed 1 billion naira fund for those people they train at the Molete Youth Farm. So basically, the funding to empower agriculture is not from Bank of Industry. Bank of Industry basically does manufacturing, and everybody knows that. That's their focus. They won't go into manufacturing. Although, at some small level, we have some people who are into poultry. Like we have an Irebawa community cooperative society here, where Bank of Industry has financed the equipment they need for hatcheries. So at that small level, they can do that. But when it's becoming large, and you are talking of money in billions, that gets out of their focus. In any case, even that they can still do. But what the state has chosen to do is to go the tax option for agriculture. And we have been able to access 1 billion naira thus far for those people trained in agriculture. So that's why Bank of Industry is one part of that.
So how much has been disbursed so far, and how many beneficiaries, how many jobs have been created from this partnership since 2008?
More than 368 million has been disbursed under the scheme, right, for now. And we are having another 88 million being disbursed now. So if you add 368 to 88 million, I'll probably say another 100 million. We are talking about 468 million now. And an estimate of jobs created will be in thousands. I can't give you specific figures, but these are in thousands because some of these companies employ 80 people, some of them employ in hundreds of people. The people, that is for our own collaborative funding scheme. For those big ones, you even see them take their staff to office in the morning in trailers. So that can tell you how many people that are being employed. So they are massive, but you don't want to pick figures. But certainly they are in thousands.
Okay. An average Nigerian, when they hear of government schemes and programs, they normally think that over the years, government things are meant for government people or government relatives. You know, so how do you get the people who are in the grassroots, people who are not in any way connected to the people who are making these policies? How do you get them on board to enjoy this program?
What we try to provide here is what we call financial infrastructure. And the nature of infrastructure is such that you cannot alienate anybody from drawing benefits from it. That's it. So you don't need to know anybody here to benefit from our scheme. That's why we refused deliberately to domicile these things in any of the SS office or in government office. That's why we bring in the partner banks. Anybody can go to the partner, and this has been massively promoted in the papers, in the television houses, and as it were, in the media generally, right? So you don't need to know us. If you go to the bank, you meet their criteria, they give you money. So it is not true that you need to know anybody at the top. Fine, if you know somebody. In any case, sometimes people even, I'm sorry, with due respect, people even think people at the top are not busy. If somebody needs, with due respect, somebody needs 100,000 naira. I mean, it does, and in a bank, I'm not sure the best person to go to is His Excellency.
Talking to a few of these people, one of the issues they have is bureaucracy, paperwork, and when you look at the level of the beneficiaries we're talking about, some of them are not so literate. So how are you helping them to get through the paperwork and bureaucracy?
People know how to go about their businesses. For example, if you have people who are selling pepper in the market, you always have somebody who is like the Susu collector for them, right? He helps them with this type of arrangement, helps them to fill the form, helps them to do some of their banking transaction, because he banks their money for them anyway. So it's also there to help them. And at the ministry, let me now come back again. At the ministry, we have local cooperative, area cooperative officers who help them to fill this form. We have also supported the ministry with a consultant. So some of them who will not be able to understand, they get explanation from the consultant. My office is also there to explain to quite a number of them who do not understand some of these things. But in most cases, my experience thus far is that this group will always have one person or another who will be literate and who could help them. Mark you, we are talking of a group. We are not talking of an individual approaching the bank. So that problem of literacy is not there, as it were. And the paperwork is minimized to the extent that you are just filling the forms. And then I did not actually, to come back to the issue of collateral, I did not eliminate collateral. There's still collateral, right? They still collateralize the loan, but the process of collateralization is not as cumbersome as you have in the commercial banks. Even the commercial banks now are running away from real estate. to what we call bank guarantees, because they know the process is cumbersome. So what we have done here is to say, give us 2 guarantors who are civil servants from level 10 and above. If those people could complete the forms and say we guarantee, then they get money.
So not all the 750 million has been disbursed so far. What about the rest?
Yeah, that's come down to 500 million now, because we scaled down the operation to 50-50 in terms of giving the change in the policy of Bank of Industry. But basically, the rest that have not been disbursed are being held as probably provision for loans that could go back. So what we do is that, it's evolving. So as people pay, and on annual and quarterly basis, we are talking of repayments of about 16 million, and then that again can be recycled, as it were, because an SME can access as much as 10 million.
Are we expecting a second part of the program, the partnership between the bank and Kwara State government?
Yes, we are, and a lot depends on them to push harder. This is a bank, this is government. Things are changing every day. There is a state microcredit scheme already on board, and whether they like it or not, whether we like to hear that or not, it is competing at a funding window with that arrangement. So we probably need to do a lot, especially on both sides, to get to part 2. Yes, but we are looking at part 2.
All right. Apart from its collaboration with state government, the Bank of Industry is also working hand in hand with the media. That's why it's organized a 3-day workshop to intimate the media on its activities and their role in industrializing Nigeria.
It's one of those rare occasions where the reporter becomes the reported. These are business editors and correspondents representing every major news medium in Nigeria. Gathering at the invitation of the Bank of Industry and clad in the outfit of one of their clients for a 3-day workshop to share knowledge on their role in transforming the country's industrial sector. The gathering is given a higher level of importance with the presence of the bank's managing director, Ms. Evelyn Oputu, and she wastes no time in unburdening her heart content, which goes beyond just transforming the industrial sector to rebranding the country as a whole.
We are development bankers here. We concentrated on what we know best to do. Let the doctor do his medicine. Let the lawyer do his lawyering. Let the civil servant do his work. When he takes a little positive step, let us applaud him. When he does something that is not right, let us tell him. Let us not throw the baby away with the bathwater.
After a good night's rest, the workshop reopens to the testimony of the Commissioner for Trade and Investment in Gombe State. The state is one of those in partnership with the bank through the Matching Fund scheme. Now its second phase is on. It speaks of the impact on the state so far.
There has been an easing on the pressure on government to have to create, to employ more people, either at the local government level or the state level, because there are alternative means of providing employment now.
Ogun State is another partner with a success story based on a 1 billion naira MOU matching fund and 1.5 billion naira for industrial park in the state.
100 Adire Kampala producers have benefited from the scheme. And interestingly, their products were used at the last Olympics in 2012. The Minister of Trade and Investment has also requested for samples of Adire Kampala for the proposed fashion exhibition in Europe in order to showcase our people. The samples have been delivered to him. He was very impressed with it and the quality of the materials. And he also spoke about capitalizing on areas where each state has comparative and competitive advantage over others.
But these testimonies do not mean that the climax has been attained by both the bank and the media. That's the perspective of an executive director of the bank, Mr. Olagunju.
All we need to do is to sensitize our people to those areas and also help them on how those areas can be efficiently converted into competitive advantage. That is an area where I believe we as community practitioners have an important role to play. Agricultural produce. Cassava has extensive value chain. Each time I go to other parts of the world and I see, for example, in a place like Dubai, you see them pineapple juice, and they see the pineapple is produced in Ghana. And I keep saying to myself, we produce pineapple in Nigeria. The challenge for us is how can we ensure that we produce the right quantity of, or right quality of pineapple that is being demanded in the outside world.
And parting words from the managing director.
When you see somebody who is doing it the wrong way, who is erring, remember it's connected to you. You stop it. Don't say, look at another bad Nigerian. Please don't say, this thing you're doing is going to affect me personally. Because we are all connected. So let us be our brothers keepers. Let us be our sisters keepers. Let us love each other a little bit more. I know that you have love in your hearts. We have gone through very serious processes. For those of you who are over 30 years old, and I think most of you are here, we've seen military dictatorship. We know what it is to be powerless. We know what it is to pray for our nation, for the spiritual release of our nation.
By 7.
The media, banks, individuals, entrepreneurs, even state governments, we all have our role in industrializing Nigeria, and we must all strive to do our best. Until next time on BOI Weekly, I'm Minnie Thompson.